This is Josh Hart here for Seconds Out. We're in Barnsley, joined by Johnny Nelson. Johnny, how are we feeling first of all?
Good, man. I'm tired, sorry, after a long week in London. Selhurst Park finished it off. It was a wet night, it was a cold night. Massive congratulations to Chris Billam-Smith in what he achieved, and to stand in the shoes of a champion and carry that torch for himself, boxed with the right champion's mentality. So it was a good night of fighting, actually.
Well, you mentioned it being a wet night. I think if we look outside, it's still the exact same. The weather conditions haven't improved as much. Zach Chelli versus Callum Simpson. What do you make of that fight?
I think that's going to be a really good fight, and the Barnsley fans will turn out in droves for Callum Simpson. But you've got to understand, this is going to be a tough, hard fight for him. Zach Chelli is no pushover. He's strong, he's tough with determination, he's got a massive heart, and he's happy to come in the Lions Den. Even though he's had a dig about Barnsley, he's going to come to the Lions Den to fight. And this is going to be a massive tester for Callum Simpson, a test of his heart. He hasn't got the experience, but the experience he's got as a professional is going to have to do. He's going to have to learn on the job. We've not seen what it takes to beat Zach Chelli, but we know it's there to be done in regards to Callum Simpson. So we've got to see how this rolls out. We've got to see how he does. We've got to see if he can dig deep to go on for bigger and better things. We've got to see that. And I think Zach Chelli's the perfect guard to say, come on, you've got to get past me first. It'll be a good fight.
And someone that Callum Simpson has sparred, I'm going to talk to you about, Artur Beterbiev. He takes on Dimitri Bivol on October 12th. Who do you favour to win out of Artur Beterbiev and Dimitri Bivol?
That's a really tough one. It's a really tough one, but I'm going to go to Biev. I think it's a tough fight. I think you're going to have two class fighters, different styles contrasting, but that's how I'll roll with it.
And do you believe both would beat Canelo? So we know Bivol's done it before, but let's say Beterbiev was to face Canelo, especially with these fantasy fights getting made nowadays. Do you believe Beterbiev's got what it takes to beat someone like Canelo?
Yes, he has. And I've said Canelo is not the fighter he was, but the fighter he is beats 97% of the fighters out there at the moment. So once there's beat in him, I think Beterbiev has to beat and have him. He's strong, he's tough, and wants to bring it on. Depends on what weight they make it at. And a lot of these things are massive factors.
And then looking at the heavyweight division, Anthony Joshua has obviously come out this week and said that he's very, very close to having some news. We have a few indications to who that would be, but my question to you is, out of Zhang and Dubois, who is the tougher fight for Anthony Joshua?
Who is the tougher fight? Well, he's already beat Zhang as an amateur, but you can't really follow much and make much of that. Against Dubois, you hear various mad rumours about their sparring, how it's been. But sparring and fighting are two different things. I think the toughest fight out of the two would probably be Zhang. Zhang's filled out now, he's solid. And Edge can bang. We've seen that. And so both fighters, both Zhang and Dubois, are very open to feeling the force of Anthony Joshua's punch power. So I think the harder fight is Zhang. I think the fight we're probably getting prepared to for in September is Dubois, and again I think AJ wins that fight.
Which fight makes more sense, would you say, out of Zhang and Dubois?
Dubois, obviously, for business here. It's in Wembley in September. The Brits have got, it's an all-British fight, and I think the Zhang fight, which one makes more money, which one puts more bums on seats, which one is the lesser risk out of the two of them, if you can say that. And I know it sounds bad, but because he's coming on his own, he's coming into his own. But I'd say Dubois out of the two of them would probably be the lesser risk. And it sounds like I'm disrespecting, but I'm not. I'm just saying, which one, if you had to put me with one, there was a gun to your head, which one you put it in with?
And then obviously last week we saw some headlines about Tyson Fury, not for such great reasons, but he's back in the gym, he's preparing. Are you confident that he can go out there and reclaim those belts when he rematches Usyk?
I think if he gets his shit together, yes. And I mean, there's a lot he needs tidying up. If he's prepared to do that, yes. If he isn't, the same thing will happen again. So it's a case of what he changes, what his mindset is walking into this. And if he actually gets it, the fight actually takes place. I still doubt it very much, but you know what? If he can turn it around, get his head right, get his team right, get his game plan right, then even before the fight, so Tyson has a beating of him. But you know what, I just thought, mate, you dropped the ball there massively.
And what was your initial reaction when you saw that video surface around on social media of him being escorted out of the pub?
Well, you know what, there's two ways you can look at it, because a lot of you get drunk. A lot of people get drunk. That's how it is. He's human at the end of the day. The fact that he is who he is and what he's achieved, he's achieved that. And still, what kind of message that send out? I'm an ex-professional boxer, an athlete, a world champion. So to me, them things are kind of taboo while you're actually doing your sport. Do that shit when you're finished. So I don't look favourably on it, and I know a lot of fighters do have a drink in between fights and they don't live their life properly. I can't relate to it. So to me, it's a no-brainer. Why would you be so stupid? You've got your whole life ahead of you. And I understand, that drinking and the drugs have made him spiral into depression. Why dip your toe in that water again and consider even putting yourself in that position again? I don't get it. I don't get sportsmen that do it. So I know they do. I might be a prude, but it don't work with me. It don't mold me.
And just looking back at Saturday night, we saw another dominant display from Ben Whittaker against Azar and Whittaker. Do you believe Ben Whittaker should really be pushed on now and almost be fast-tracked?
Ben Whittaker, I think matchmaking is as important as anything in a fight's career. And there are fights out there that I can see potential happening. Dan Aziz, I can see it happening. Dan was on the undercard, he drew on the undercard. Dan has been British and European champion, so on paper that looks like a good opponent for Ben, but it's a dangerous one. So are they willing to take that risk? Because you can't write Ben off, and that might be one of the fights that Dan off. So that might be one of the fights that lift his performance from Saturday night.
When you look at Ben's age, the accolades that he's got as an amateur, do you believe he probably should have been moved faster in his career? No, timing is everything, and just give the boy time. He's fresh, he's young. Fight young. He's fit. He's not going to hit a lot, and he's developing as fights go on. And my last one, obviously, we saw Chris Billam-Smith with a career best performance against Richard Riakporhe. We know that he wants unifications next. The man at the tip of most people's tongues is Jai Opetaia. If Chris Billam-Smith is to get that fight with Opetaia, how does he win that fight?
You know what? I keep backing against Chris Billam-Smith, but the one thing he's got that a lot of fighters don't seem to have is dogged determination as well as fitness and self-belief. Regardless of the fashion of the win, he gets it. I think Jai Opetaia in his last fight, the last quarter fight, I saw some holes in his armoury. He was in against a guy that had not boxed for 2 years. I'm like, when you're on point, but when you kind of put under pressure, which is the kind of fighter Chris is, that's when you start to fall to pieces a little bit. And so Jai Opetaia, even though I think he's a great fighter, a really good fighter, I saw vulnerabilities in him.
Johnny, absolute pleasure. Thank you very much for your time. Cheers. Thank you.